And we're back with another episode of 3 and 4's Top Fives. And this is a very special episode because it's our 100th episode on this channel, believe it or not. Can't believe we've done that many. My
That was a
God.
scary, yeah.
Yeah, my gosh. So we made it. And so we're making this a big episode. Instead of a top five, we're doing a top 10, and it's our top 10 favorite movies of all time. So we'll be talking about some films we've definitely talked about before, but these are our absolute faves. So maybe at the end of this episode, we'll put our list together in some kind of way. We'll see if how many we have in common. That's always the thing. So do you want to start out with your number 10?
All right, my number 10 is The Dark Knight.
Ooh, really? Wasn't
Yeah,
expecting that.
yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
And this is
Director
not a film
Christopher
we've talked
Nolan.
about.
What?
This is not a movie we've talked about before. I
We've
don't think.
we've never talked. We had. I'm pretty sure we talked about.
Maybe when we did 2008
Right.
or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, Christopher
You know,
Nolan.
this Batman is like different from all the other Batmans, including the new one that just came out last year, The Batman. Uh,
Yes.
the difference with this one, it's more like a psychological thriller.
Right.
I mean, it's dark. It's really dark. Uh, I think that Heath Ledger
Yeah.
was the one that really made this movie.
Oh yeah, he was
Yeah,
incredible.
and I mean, unfortunately, he died during the making of the movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, you
Won
know,
the Academy Award posthumously for the
yeah.
role.
I
So yeah,
mean, I'm sure he would have won it if he was still alive too. Uh,
very possible.
yeah, I mean, he played the best Joker that I've ever seen
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
any of the Batman movies.
Definitely. And even though like the things that I don't feel like I love this movie as much as others is because it does borrow from a lot of other movies that are like psychological thrillers or crime movies like Heat and things like that. But it makes it one of the best superhero movies of all time for those reasons. So even
Yeah,
though I
I
I
mean,
like the Batman better, actually, the newest one, but yeah.
really, yeah, but I mean, just it had everything. It had intrigue. It
Yeah,
had a bad DA,
right.
and at the end, they make him a hero, and Batman is like
Yeah,
dragging his tail behind his ass because
yeah,
he has to look like the villain now.
right. Yeah,
And everybody hates him and stuff. I mean, all these elements were different than any other Batman movie.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, definitely a good pick. Was not on my list, obviously, but yeah, very good number 10. Well, my number 10 is going a little more back in time, and I just changed this at the last second, but it's the Blues Brothers.
Ah, the Blues Brothers.
Technically my favorite musical of all time.
Yes, it could be classified as a musical.
Yeah. And the
Uh,
music is really what makes the movie so great. I mean, you got James Brown, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, some of the greatest soul singers of all
and the
time.
Blues Brothers.
Yeah, who as a band were not too shabby themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
And they had a lot of the musicians that played with those iconic artists in their band. So yeah, and um Jake and Elwood weren't too bad as singers either. So
Right. I
uh
mean, yeah, great comedy too.
yeah, and it's almost like watching a Looney Tunes episode, like the things that they do with the car, flying over things and all the cop cars getting demolished at the
I
end.
know,
It's just so
with the
ridiculous.
Nazis, and then the
Yes.
Ride of the Valkyries playing as said the car is going down.
Oh man, so many great moments. I mean, can go on and on about it. And one of the most quotable movies of all
I
time.
know, it was almost like a National Lampoon movie.
Yeah. We're on a mission from God.
Yeah, Mission from God.
Yes.
So
So
there,
that didn't make your top 10, I guess, right?
no, it did not. I
Okay. What's your number 9?
think I was being more serious with my picks.
I figured you'd go that way. Yeah. All right. So
So,
what's your 9?
The Godfather Part Two.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So could we be seeing another Godfather movie higher up as well?
Probably yes.
Wow, okay. Yeah, not to give my list away, but I have one of them on my list, not both. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean Godfather Part 2, one of the best sequels ever made. So
Yeah, they were interjecting like the past, like Marlon Brando's character, uh, like when he was in Sicily and stuff.
yep. Yeah, exactly. And
And in New York City, when he's like becoming the Godfather.
all
And
the flashbacks are my favorite parts because I
yeah,
mean De
yeah. I
Niro
mean
was
that's what
amazing.
that's what made the movie was the flashbacks.
Yeah, De Niro like was uncanny as a young Marlon Brando playing the Godfather. And
Yeah,
then of course the Pacino stuff was great too and really like intense and sad, but uh I mean it's such a tragic story of Michael Corleone, but yeah, the flashbacks are just incredible.
yeah. Well, he was a kid that was not trained to be part of the family. They were trying to keep him out,
Yep.
and and then you know, by design, he eventually had to take over the family.
Right, yeah. And yeah, and didn't do as good a job with it as his father had done, but you know, and yeah, the whole thing with him and Diane Keaton and that was just like terrible, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
great
his
movie.
his thing was basically making deals,
Right.
and getting allies, and
Yeah.
and a lot
He
of things backfired on him.
Yeah, and he had, as far as being a businessman, like and being cold and that aspect he was great at, but then the warmth of the
Right,
family
the
stuff is
people
where,
person.
yeah,
That was
killing
like,
your own brother, just stuff like that.
yeah,
No big deal. So, all right, great pick. Well, my number 9 will also not be on your list for sure. And so if you went with 2 from a director, I also went with 2 from a director that you don't like, Woody Allen, and it's Midnight in Paris.
I
One of
figured you would have some Woody Allen on there.
Yes, so this will be my
I'm
first
surprised
of
it was
2.
only two.
Yeah. I could have had 3 actually. But no, Midnight in Paris, I just think it's one of his best and most whimsical movies. Technically it's my favorite time travel movie because I just love what he does with it, with Owen Wilson when they're in Paris, and he just every time it's midnight, when he's on this certain street, he ends up getting picked up and hanging out with all his literary heroes, and every one of them is played so perfectly. It's such a fun movie where he's this struggling author that ends up kind of figuring out who he is in the process, and that his current relationship is not great. And yeah, it's a great fun movie, and it does not have Woody Allen in it, so some would say that's a plus. But yeah, one of my faves, so I had to have it.
Okay.
So what's your number 8?
My number 8 is Back to the Future.
Ooh, good one. I almost put this.
Yeah.
So our time travel movies are back to back here. That's
Yeah,
a good
it's
one.
probably maybe the time travel movie.
Yeah, definitely most, I mean, everyone would agree that that's probably
Yeah,
the
I
best or
mean,
most iconic anyway.
yeah, I mean the characters were great. I mean, you know, using, the car that they used for uh, a time machine
Yeah,
vehicle, you know,
exactly. The
uh
DeLorean, yeah.
deluxe compressor, yeah,
The
flux
flux
compressor,
capacitor. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
all
S-
that stuff. Then
Yeah, I mean, it's
and then
all of
go
it's like
yeah,
yeah.
going back, meeting his mom,
Yep.
then she has the hots for him. But then if, he doesn't get her to like his dad, who's like a real, like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
George McFly, the
Yeah,
best.
George McFly is like not interested and, all this other stuff,
Right.
asking his son for advice. So,
Yep.
in reality, it should be the other way around.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things flipped on their head, and of course Biff, the
yeah.
villain, is
I
great.
mean, and Christopher Lloyd was like great
Oh,
as the professor.
exactly. Oh yeah, iconic roles for everybody in this movie. So yeah, we talked about it on our most quotable episode
Right,
for the letter B already. So yeah, can't fault that pick
right.
whatsoever. So
Fun movie, and then it spawned two sequels,
exactly.
and
Yep. Another.
probably another like TV cartoon things that I'm not even aware of right now. But
Yeah, so you've already talked about three franchises thus far on your list. I see a pattern here. So my number 8 is also one that we've talked about on Most Quotable, and it's Monty Python and the Holy Grail, one of the best comedies of all time.
bring me shrubbery.
Yes. Did this make your list?
No, it did not.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, as you said, you went more serious, so I'm guessing less comedies, but I know this is one we both love, so yeah, it's just one that like anytime it's on, it puts a smile on my
Yeah,
face.
I mean, trying to pick the top 10 movies of all times is almost impossible.
Yeah, I know. I mean, because yeah, there's always going to be something left out. And I mean, how can, especially in comedy, it's like, how can you even
I
rate
know.
what's
I mean, my
better?
route was like trying to pick movies that have meaning to me,
Yeah.
and but I mean, you could go all different directions.
Well, you could say Monty Python and the Holy Grail has meaning. I'm not dead. There's some existential stuff in there somewhere.
That would
And
be the life of Brian.
yeah, that's true, I guess. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about this movie a lot, so no need to
Yeah, drag
go
it
into all
on.
the quotes, but yeah, so that's my number 8. So what's your number 7?
My number 7 is Return of the Jedi.
Whoa, really? That high, huh? So it's possible there could be multiple Star Wars movies on here from
It
you.
could be, yeah.
I hope so, because I don't think this is the best. And I know you don't think so either.
This is your favorite Star Wars movie.
This says who?
You do all the
I
time.
was when I was like 6 years old or whatever, but Empire Strikes Back is my favorite.
This is the conclusion of possibly the best trilogy of all time.
Yeah, I would agree with that probably. I think, yeah. And yeah, it wraps it up very nicely too. I mean,
Yeah,
the whole father son thing, which is so well done. And then, of course, you've got the big intro with Jabba the Hutt, the sail barge scene, which is one of John Williams' best moments. You've
right.
got the
You know
Ewoks. I
the
love the Ewoks.
the final fight with Vader.
Yes,
The
exactly. The
the
Emperor.
Emperor, and
Yeah.
yeah,
And Vader having a change of heart and everything. Yeah, I mean,
that's right.
incredible. But yeah, no, the Empire is my favorite, which I amazingly, I did not end up putting any Star Wars on my top 10. I
Whoa.
almost put Empire, but it didn't quite make it. So I'm assuming we'll have at least one more on your list, but we'll have to see because I know Jedi is not your favorite. But
No,
yeah,
but it completes the trilogy.
yes,
And
and
like I said, I think that this trilogy is probably the best trilogy ever made. I don't think anything really tops it, including the Godfather trilogy
including Lord of the Rings because I know that's one of your
and
favorite
including Lord
trilogies.
of the Rings. Yeah.
Wow, we have it on tape, folks. The Lord of the Rings is not the best trilogy ever. That's amazing. So yeah, and I think looking back, they probably should have just left it as a trilogy and not done all the prequels and sequels, but because they were never gonna get to the level that they did on the original. But
Now,
um, hey, it's made some money for some people, so
well, yeah, exactly. I mean, they had the thing drag on for what, 20 plus years?
and still going.
It's still
So
going, yes, with all the little side things,
indeed, yeah.
Kenobi and
Yeah. Talk
yeah,
about creating a universe. My God. Yeah, George Lucas, say what you will. He's created one of the coolest franchises ever. So good pick. And so now that gets to my number 7, which is The Godfather, the Godfather Part 1. And I'm guessing you may also have that, but yeah, I mean, what can you, as far as other sequels, as you just said, are one of the best trilogies also. um yeah, one of the best crime dramas ever made. The Marlon Brando, I mean, just the way he created that character, putting whatever like cotton balls in his mouth to make him look totally different. He was only like in his early 40s when this movie came out, and they made him look like this,
like, yeah, it was
you
like
know.
ancient.
Right. Yeah, just incredible. And everybody's great in the movie. I mean, James Caan, of course, Pacino in his breakout role, that scene in the restaurant where the tension's building and he's gonna kill the
Yeah,
guy.
because, yeah,
Yeah.
and,
So
yeah,
much
he has
great
to make
stuff.
his first kill.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
then all
or
the scenes
killed.
in Italy, the score, of course, is iconic,
Yeah,
that just yeah. We could go on and
and
on
the
about this one.
scenery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't just the music and the drama of the movie. It was,
Yeah.
scenery. It was everything.
And as my wife would say, it was also men in hats talking.
Yeah, it's hard to believe
uh, yeah.
that that's what you could draw from that movie.
Well, the women had kind of minor roles when you think about it, because Diane Keaton is kind of like an idiot in the movie because she can't see that her husband is like killing
Well,
people.
then
Come on.
why wasn't it idiot woman talking to men in hats?
Right. And the other wife gets blown up within like 5 minutes. So but anyway, yeah. So gotta have that on your top 10, no matter who you are. So what's your number 6?
My number 6 is I consider this to be Tarantino's best movie,
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Pulp Fiction.
Okay. Yeah, I was glad you said that. Even though it's my second favorite Tarantino movie, actually. But Inglorious Bastards is my favorite. But yeah, it's got to be
And
top
actually,
2.
I hated this movie when it first came out.
Did you really?
Yeah, because I felt it was all over the place.
Which
But
is the
after
whole point.
watching it,
Yeah.
numerous times, then, I got the gist of it. The
Yeah.
beginning of the movie was also the end of the movie,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then the middle was basically all little vignettes on, what they were doing and, you
Yep.
know, rigging a boxing game and, becoming a hitman and, you
Yeah.
know, all that stuff. And then you had the Manson murders in the middle of the thing.
Oh, you're talking about, yeah, well, yeah, yeah, the other Tarantino movie. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
brilliant the way that he uh puts it in different order, because if it was cut chronologically, you probably wouldn't have cared as much about certain characters.
right.
So,
So, I mean,
yeah,
this made it really more interesting and
yes,
unique,
exactly.
which is why it's my
And
number.
the dialogue is so great. I mean,
Yeah,
also one of the most quotable. We've talked about it on most
yeah,
quotable
yeah,
already. So
yeah.
great pick. Yeah. So my number six is another comedy that for sure won't make yours. It's Office Space. Yeah.
I still hate that movie.
You hate it?
I don't
Uh,
see any benefit to that movie.
oh
It,
man.
especially I don't know. I don't know anybody talks the way that they talk.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
yeah, I
mean,
mean,
I've worked in offices, and we don't go around going, yeah, yeah,
yeah, I'm gonna need you
yeah,
to come in on
yeah. I need
Friday.
you to work this weekend. Yeah,
Well, I had someone I worked with that did talk like that. And that's why, like, to me, I've lived this movie in many ways. And so that's why it hit home for me. And it's one of the few movies that I saw not just twice, I think like three times in the theater when it came out, because I thought it was so hilarious. And it's one that has just like, for many people, become a cult classic. It's one just like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I can put on any time and laugh, and is one of the most quotable, which we've talked about as well. So
did you ever put the Lego set together?
I think it's still sitting up in your house in the closet. I couldn't fit it in my suitcase.
I
So,
know.
but
I
yeah,
bought I bought him a Lego set
yes,
for
yeah,
his birthday on
yeah,
the office, so he could play with all the little characters on
so
his
great.
desk.
Yeah, classic, man. Yep, one of the best comedies ever. So definitely not on your list, but what's your we've made it to the top five. So
Yes,
here we go.
we're getting close on the countdown here.
Yes. So what's your number five?
Number five, Shawshank Redemption.
Ah, okay. I have that also a little higher.
Do you really? Okay, we're good. We finally got one.
Yay. I think we'll have uh maybe at least one more in common,
Well, now we're
hopefully.
getting down to the crunch, so
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the best dramas ever. One of the best surprise endings ever of any movie.
yeah.
Probably the best.
Maybe Morgan Freeman, Tim Robbins. I
All
mean, they were
amazing
like
acting. Yeah.
unbelievable. And I really don't like Tim Robbins, but I mean, he was excellent in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfectly cast. And to think that this was made from a Stephen King novella, like not even a full book. Uh, this is one of the few times where like the movie's better than the book, and I think Stephen
Actually,
King would agree.
I thought, I thought King copied it from a novella written by somebody else, and he wrote the script for the movie.
Uh, no, I'm pretty sure the original story was by Stephen King. It was called Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank
Right.
Redemption.
But I
So
thought it was written by somebody else.
I don't think so, but I could be wrong. But yeah,
All right,
it's
well, we're not going to waste time looking at that. We'll
yes.
have to, we'll solve this on the next episode.
Okay, fine. But yeah, Frank Darabont directed it and did such an amazing job. Yeah, I mean, that we can't talk too much about this movie without giving key elements of the plot away.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Yes, just watch it.
what I love so much about it is like the the theme of hope is and attaining that in many ways is really cool. And also it goes into themes of like creating our own prisons for ourselves mentally. And so it's not just a prison movie. It can be seen in so many different ways. So yeah, such a great pick. So my number five for sure is a movie that you won't have and you might also hate. It's directed by Wes Anderson and it's Rushmore. Another another late 90s gem with Jason Schwartzman and Bill Murray in one of his best roles as Herman Bloom, this metal company owning tycoon that
You tend to like weird characters.
yeah. Weird characters are the best. Yeah, every character in this movie is weird, including just the side characters that have nothing to do, like Mr. Little Jeans and the guy that Magnus, the Scottish speaking villain that like shoots darts into kids' necks and stuff. It's it's so crazy. And the plot of this movie, which reminds me like a little bit of The Graduate, but in a more pathetic way, where the teacher is not interested in the student, but he is very interested in her. And then it becomes a war of best friends interested in the same girl. But then everyone's okay in the end. It's just, it's some would say this movie is style over substance, but I disagree. I think it's got so many things going on in such a great way, and the soundtrack is amazing. I think it's Wes Anderson's best, and I know you don't like it. So, what's your number four?
The movie that I think is probably the best adventure movie of all time,
Mm-hmm.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That's also my number four.
All right, we get
Yeah.
4 for 4.
Yes. So I knew that would be our other one in common because that always seems to be one we agree on.
Yeah, I know you
So
like the third one a lot, but
yeah, I do
this
too.
is the one. I mean, I remember sitting in the movie theater and watching like the first 10 minutes of the thing,
Yeah.
and the ball rolling down and the arrows shooting, and
Yeah.
him measuring and all that other stuff. And
Yeah.
that was it. I was bored
Yeah. Oh
right
yeah.
after that. I mean, the movie was nonstop,
Yep.
mostly nonstop action in the thing. I
Right.
mean, all those action things and Harrison performing most of them.
Yeah, yeah. He did a lot of his own stunts and yeah, I mean, just like like they say, or I think Belloc near the end of the movie is like, this guy's gonna give vigilantes a bad name. Like you can't stop Indiana Jones, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
and it's he's like that thing in the amusement park where the
mhm.
little things pop up and you hit it with the hammer.
Right, yeah, exactly. And then yeah, I mean that also it's very quotable movie, like when he says it's not the years, honey, it's the mileage. And yeah, it's I mean, it started off again one of the best trilogies of all time, even though maybe the middle movie isn't the greatest, but and then of course Crystal Skull was a disappointment, but I'm looking forward to the Dial of Destiny. I think that might end up being pretty good. I mean, Harrison Ford at 80 still doing Indiana Jones is pretty wild, but uh, you know, one of the best characters ever. So yeah, great joint number four there. So what's your number three?
My three was The Godfather, so we already did that.
Oh, okay. Very good. So yeah, now I'm wondering we may not have another one in common if you went with two crime dramas already. But my number three is the one that I thought maybe we'd both have, and it's another crime drama, and it's Goodfellas, my favorite Martin Scorsese movie. Do you have it or no? Ah, man. Oh well. But yeah, I mean, this is another one where the reason I have it higher than The Godfather is like the pacing of this movie is so frenetic. It's like it's kind of like a an Indiana Jones where it's just nonstop, and it's one where I can catch it at any point in the movie, and I'll want to watch it because, I mean, the characters, Joe Pesci, one of the best supporting roles ever. He's just so crazy in the movie. De Niro, of course, as always, is great. You got Ray Liotta was so great in the starring role, and all the other roles in the movie. Lorraine Bracco is amazing as Karen, and yeah, I mean, just the way the movie ends, especially where he's high on coke, getting chased by helicopters, and still making spaghetti sauce in the background. You gotta love Goodfellas, man. Um, so yeah, surprised it didn't make your top 10. But I guess if you got Godfather 1 and 2 already, you know, can't do too many crime dramas. So what is your number 2?
Fire.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I knew you'd have it. So this is interesting because okay, so you've got Return of the Jedi and Empire, but no Star
My number
Wars.
one is Star Wars.
Ah, okay. Nice. The whole trilogy represented by one man alone. So yeah, I didn't have to put any Star Wars. You covered it for me. Very good. All right, well played. So my number 2 was Shawshank, and my number 1 is Annie Hall, the other Woody Allen movie. So if we were to put this together, it would be very interesting. I don't know if we'd want to make it a whole top 10.
You have a whole top 20.
Yeah, right. I guess. But I mean, we could easily say, uh, let's see. That's funny that your number 1 and my number 1 are both from 1977 and were both nominated for Best Picture. And many would say the biggest upset of all time was that Annie Hall beat out Star Wars for Best Picture. So let's do this. Even though I do agree that Annie Hall's the better movie, let's correct history for many people and say Star Wars at number 1 and Annie Hall at number 2. Shawshank, we'll put it at 3 since it's my 2 and we both had it in common. Number 4, Empire. So we've got 2 Star Wars movies in the top 5. Awesome. Number 5, Goodfellas. Or no, The Godfather, since it was your 3 and it was also on my list. Then number 6 would be Goodfellas, since it was my 3. And then number 7, Raiders, which I would think should have been higher since we both had it at number 4. Yeah, let's correct this. At number 4 will be Raiders, then Empire at 5, then The Godfather at 6, then Goodfellas at 7, and that may be where we want to keep it, because if we go any further down my list, it's into movies that you hate. So we'll make it a top 7. The best 7 movies of all time that we can agree on, according to 3 and 4. At number 7, Goodfellas. At number 6, The Godfather. At number 5, The Empire Strikes Back. At number 4, Raiders of the Lost Ark. At number 3, The Shawshank Redemption. At number 2, Annie Hall. And at number 1, Star Wars. Yeah. That's a pretty good list of all time, I would say. Not too shabby there. So from here, where do we go? And I think the answer is obvious because our viewers tend to like our most quotable things the most. So we're going to start again at the letter A, this time giving you a vote since we picked airplane last time. So we'll give our top 4s here and meld them together as always. So my number 4 pick is American Graffiti. What about you?
As good as it gets.
All right. Very nice. My number 3 is Aliens.
Amadeus.
All right. We're going quickly on this. My number 2 is Animal House.
Apocalypse Now.
Ooh, nice pick. Okay. And my number 1 is Annie Hall, baby. Yes. I know that's not your one.
No, Animal House.
All right, so we have one in common. All right, so then the 4 options, this should be easy. We'll have Animal House, obviously. We'll have Annie Hall, obviously. We'll have Apocalypse Now as since that was your 2. And then it's between Aliens and Amadeus. Ooh. That's a tough one. I mean, I would say Aliens just because I think it's some quotes are already sticking out in my mind. I also know that if Mikey were here as a third voice, he would want Aliens to be on that list.
Do we all have?
Yeah. Hell yeah. All right. This is a great list to choose from. So these are your options. We will have you can vote here or on Johnny Radio. Also, we'll have a poll up there and we'll go with your vote. It's either going to be Animal House, Annie Hall, Apocalypse Now, or Aliens. And we will see you on the next one. Great episode as always, and love you.
Love you too.
All right, bye.
Bye.